Now we are going to talk about the gospel for the sixth Sunday in Ordinary Time, and we have chosen the shorter version of the gospel reading for this Sunday, and it talks about actually three important things about the teachings of Jesus. But the introduction is very important. Christ said that unless our justice or does not surpass that of the Pharisees and scribes, we cannot enter the kingdom of heaven. And now, the justice of the Pharisees and scribes was based on the compliance with the law and whatever commandments or things that they have in the Old Testament, compliance with it. But Christ, in a way, explains to us in this gospel reading that those compliance with the law of Moses is not enough for us to really to enter the kingdom of heaven. That's why he said he came here to kind of not to abolish the law, but to fulfill, for it to reach its fulfillment or perfection in his teaching. And so this is what we are going to talk about now. It's a perfection, because compliance with the law of the Old Testament will not guarantee us salvation, because to be saved is to have peace, to be reconciled with God, with one another, and with ourselves. So the first thing he talked about was about forgiveness, not getting angry, about adultery, and about being honest with oneself and with God, or misusing God as a witness to the truth of what we're saying. So any comment, any observation?
Tengo una observación mientras miraba la lectura, la manera como los judíos percibían el no hagas, no debes de hacer esto, no debes de cometer ningún pecado, no debes de hacer esto. Y en la manera ahora con Jesús es totalmente otra manera, otra mentalidad diferente, todo basado en el amor. Entonces yo creo que no basta solamente con no hacerlo, sino aprendemos de Jesús que cuando Jesús ya vive en nosotros, que ni siquiera ya lo pensamos hacer. Yo creo que eso es muy importante para que quede en las mentes de nosotros, ¿no? La diferencia entre la mentalidad judía y la diferencia entre la mentalidad cristiana, y ya ni siquiera pensar hacerlo, porque Jesús nos está alimentando, ¿no?, con su gracia, y nos inspira precisamente a ya no cometer esas cosas.
No, and the thing what Felipe was saying is that, Christ is talking about love, and love kind of love is fulfilling, or like putting to perfection the shortcomings of the appreciation or the teachings in the Old Testament or the lay, but not exactly that way, because what Christ is saying is that actually, it's not simply not to do anything. Actually, they're saying is do this also. But what Christ is saying, that's not enough. Because what Christ is, when you talk about love, for Christ, love is the perfection of the person. And so, when you comply with something externally, without reaching the interior or your heart or your life, then that motive or that desire or that inability to forgive or to understand prevents you from having peace of mind. And that's the one that's preventing you from entering the kingdom of heaven. Because, the kingdom of heaven is in us. Mm-hmm. And then if we, because you cannot have the peace of the kingdom if you are angry inside you, if you refuse to forgive, if you refuse to love. So that's the thing. And what Christ is saying is not that we cannot be angry, but the anger that is in us, that's eating us, that's bothering us, and also in short, the anger that we are not able to overcome. And we know that only the love of God can heal us. And so when we refuse now to love as Christ has loved us, we refuse the healing of God, then we're there. We are condemning ourselves to this miserable life of anger and unforgiveness, vengeance. But it's not a punishment from God. So that's the thing. No? So if we follow Jesus, then we will see that what he's telling us is the fulfillment, really, of the objectives of the commandments of God, which the Jewish people, kind of misinterpreted, or what their interpretation fell short of the perfection that God wants from us. That's why when Christ came, he wants to perfect it, because the way they followed the law was imperfect. So he did not abolish, but explain it so that we can understand better. So it perfects us now. Huh? So that's the thing. Huh? So it's not a question simply that the love of Christ is going to heal us, but we have to understand why. Huh? Yeah, that's it. Any otra pregunta, observación?
Pues son 3 o 4 puntos los que menciona. Ahorita lo que estaba mencionando, lo de la ira, del coraje. Yo también menciono otro muy importante, lo del adulterio. Entonces, para que podamos ir viviendo el reino de Dios, nosotros debemos tener paz. Y para mí lo que realmente está enseñándonos aquí Jesucristo. O sea, no es nomás mirar a una persona, al sexo contrario, sino que si llega, si pensamos o miramos, no procesarlo en la mente y para que pare en ese momento y que la paz siga dentro de nosotros, porque si no vamos a pasar de la vista al cerebro y va a procesar y vamos a caer en adulterio. Pero Jesús lo que quiere es paz, para que empecemos a vivir ya en el reino de los cielos desde hoy.
Yeah, okay, so what Miguel is saying is that what Christ wants is for us to have peace. But okay, the way he explains it is this, that it's because we are human beings, we have that instinct, attraction to other person, and so he's not talking about that. What he's talking is condemning. What Christ is saying is that it's not enough that you do not do it. But what God wants is for us to be pure, so that even the desire, because we can use the instinct to kind of excite ourselves, so that we even when looking at a woman, so you have that instinct, and you use that to take pleasure in that, or even to wish something. For Christ, you are already committing that sin. Está pecando cuando tienes el deseo. Pero no es desear porque soy hombre, es mujer. No es eso. Ahora, también, also, Christ is telling us that God can heal us of that. No, God can heal us of that instinctive pleasure like that, so that we will not commit a sin. So now it's again learning how to trust in God, to confide in Him. It's an experience of God. So, and that's what I think what we need to do really, and we say that at Mass every time before communion, the mercy of God. And through His mercy, His presence in our life prevents us from committing sin, and prevents us or protects us from the problems in life. I hope you remember that, no? The misericordia del Señor, nos protege de la perturbación de la vida y también del pecado. Pero no hacemos caso de eso, ¿no? Entra aquí, afuera. Si entre, por lo menos tampoco no entre. Es la cosa, es el amor, ¿no? Yeah. Yeah. So eliminate just the desire, the anger that lasts forever, and then the desire that we use so that we can take pleasure in it, wanting, desiring it, is already a sin. And now also, another point, very important point is, when we want to prove that we are saying the correct thing and invoking God for Christ is not also right. No? Because what he wants is that when we want to say something, we should mean it and not invoke God. Because we have to remember God is always with us. So we always have to say the truth. El Señor está siempre con nosotros. Y no tenemos que invocar su nombre para que probamos que estamos diciendo la verdad. Por ser cristianos, debemos decir la verdad, sin invocar al Señor como testigo nuestro. ¿Ah? Porque es insulto al Señor. Estamos usando su nombre. ¿Ah? Entonces, como discípulos cristianos, debemos decir la verdad siempre. No invocar al Señor como testigo nuestro. ¿Ah? Es mal usado. Ni la cabeza, ni Jerusalén, ni cualquier cosa de la tierra. Siempre la verdad, la verdad.
Sí.
No necesitamos testigos. Es lo que dice Jesucristo. Entonces, lo que quiere Jesucristo es la pureza de la intención, de la motivación, espiritualmente, ¿no? Que nos gobierna nuestros pensamientos, acciones, relaciones. ¿No? Es la perfección que Dios quiere de nosotros. Y esto da la paz. Nos da la paz. Ahora, también we also mention about, when we, how is that? Oh no, the thing is, we remember the bad things that we did in the past. How can we have peace? Well, we talk about the difference between, peace comes, what's the difference between a person, the person who remembers what he or she did in the past, or what he or she suffered in the past. The difference between a real Christian is that the real Christian who experiences peace and forgiveness and wants to forgive the people who offended them, is that they remember what happened. But a person who is healed remember what happened in the past, or what he or she did in the past, but remembering it with a lesson, and also like a sign, a kind of a precaution for the person that it happened in the past, learn from it, and then become like a help to prevent him or her from committing the sin or from being being victimized again. Now the person who is not healed will remember that thing that happened in the past, and because the person refuses to forgive or to be an instrument of forgiveness, that stays with him or in her. And as long as that what we did is in us, without understanding what happened, so we are able to forgive, that thing will always bother us, will affect our thinking, our relationship with other people. That's why we need to learn how to forgive. And some people have said that, well, when I want to forgive, all these things are coming to me, the bad things that happen in my life. I said, do not be afraid, because what God wants is to cleanse you of those things. Because what God wants is to kind of take out all those memories from our mind, and for us to learn from them. Because if we remember them and we are not able to understand and we're not able to forgive, and we're not able to forgive and be forgiven, then that stays in us. Unforgiven bad thing, a misunderstood bad thing remains in us, and it will affect our life as long as we are alive and we have not been forgiven or have been healed. So healing is very important. Only God can heal us. Okay, that's another very important thing. Okay, yeah. Any other question? Or we have. Huh? So can we ask, if you have any, for the viewers, if you have any question, please let us know. We want our purpose is to really understand, and find applications of the things we learn from Jesus. Okay, we are here to understand ourselves, and God wants to help us to understand ourselves, so we can be happy now, and be happy forever in His kingdom. Okay, thank you.